problem. Our final segment on Delaware's enhanced 911 system. College questions from the University of Cincinnati. We'll look at a fire service research center. And American Heat presents American Heaters. Lessons learned by the people involved are coming up right now on American Heat.
It's called the resource game, choosing and using the right resources at the right time. Hello, and welcome to American Heat. I'm Don Marsh.
And I'm Steve Almere. It's really much more than a game, of course. It is the key to successfully handling a fire or any emergency.
This month, we examine how resources were used in California, Florida, and Minnesota. Different incidents, but with some similarities.
Industrial strength takes center stage this month. First to Richmond, California, near San Francisco, Chevron USA's most productive refinery. Correspondent Sam Chulin reports when a processing unit ignited and burned, firefighters needed to pull together all the resources at their disposal.
The Chevron oil refinery at Richmond, California is one of the largest in the United States. It can process 365,000 barrels of crude oil a day. A lot of heat is generated here. Because of the potential danger, Chevron's fire department and mutual aid companies participate in regular monthly drills, and it's paid off.
Area 3 to control.
Control?
Flames showing in the north yard, about North Isomax. Flames look to be about 30 feet in the air. I will be responding from the hydrofire.
It's half past the noon hour. This is no drill. An explosion and fire rocks the refinery's Isomax unit, where hydrogen is used in the manufacture of gasoline and jet fuel. Black smoke fills the skyline. Firefighters immediately respond. 6 minutes into the blaze, this fire is elevated to 5 alarms. Mutual aid companies have been alerted and began to respond with resources. Safety officers are taking air samples to determine if toxic gases have been released. The incident command system is in effect.
This kind of situation was one in which the fire was of such magnitude that we knew we were going to utilize additional resources and manpower. To do that effectively, you need a structure in place that can channel all the resources into the right spots. So basically, it was getting with the on-shift battalion chief, having him establish a size up, and then finding out what additional resources were required, and getting a whole lot of people moving in the direction to make this incident a manageable one.
22 minutes into the fire, the unexpected happens. A 100-foot reactor crashes to the ground, spreading the fire.
I looked up to see a fireball that I felt seemed to short circuit all of my sensory perception of everything except visual. A fireball of enormous size and a very deep orange color that got my attention and sort of left me speechless for a moment.
3 Chevron refinery operators trying to shut off valves feeding the fire are severely injured. One of them with second-degree burns over 70% of his body. They are not wearing any fire protective clothing. The 3 men are airlifted by helicopter to nearby Brookside Hospital in San Pablo, treated and placed in hyperbaric oxygen chambers to speed up healing. Chevron firefighter Robin Gale, who is still recovering from facial burns, is only steps away from the refinery workers when the reactor collapses.
I thought I was dead. And the next instant, I was face down on the ground, and I opened my eyes, and there was fire everywhere. Fire underneath me, fire in front of me, and my face was burning. I had this burning sensation. Not that it was on fire, but that was the idea I got, that it was on fire, but I didn't see flames right on my face. I saw flames underneath me. And then I I had, for an instant, I wanted to throw my hands to my face because I thought, you know, if it's burned or if it's burning, I want to put it out. And then I also thought in almost the same instant that my hands are going to be on fire too, because there was petroleum, fire everywhere, floating liquid fire everywhere. And so all I did is I just pushed off the ground with my hands and jumped up and ran out of the area.
The triage area is moved away from the command post to reduce any potential for confusion.
The operations chief made the decision to move back medical command. I think he had two reasons for that. One was the medical personnel were basically just getting in the way. I mean, which I can understand. He's got a command center to run. He's got more resources coming in. And secondly, the helicopter landing site was away from the command center. And I think he just wanted to pool all of his resources, all of his medical resources into one area.
Medevac helicopters and ambulances arrive on scene quickly. A total of 9 people are sent to hospitals during the fire.
The busiest time we had was, of course, after the initial blast. 6 patients were injured. We needed to transport all 6 rapidly to various hospitals. The helicopter services were very instrumental and very timely in getting that accomplished.
The command post is only a short distance from the fire. From the beginning, firefighters have sized up the situation and determined whether or not to take an offensive or defensive position with this fire. Incident Commander Tony Semenza.
The first piece of equipment in was Unit 5, driven by one of our firefighters, which is a 1-ton pickup with double-mounted deck guns. He stretched the 5-inch line from this particular hydrant and put both monitors into operation to cool the 2 reactors that weren't involved in the fire. The second piece of equipment in was Engine 4, which came to Isomax and Channel Street. The battalion chief in and the captain in were then in the process of making a size-up, trying to get as much information as they could from the operating personnel to try and determine what tactics would be used in handling this emergency.
We use large diameter hoses and master streams around the outside of the fire. We didn't want to get anybody in close to the fire because at that time we didn't know what might happen. And the men were trained well enough that all I had to do was tell them what we needed and they carried that out. They knew where to place the equipment and everything.
It's not the kind of a fire that you were going to send in hose teams, but rather one in which you were going to set up master streams around the incident for cooling, and at the appropriate time switch over to a foam operation. And that would entail shutting down some of the master stream devices while we started to apply firefighting foam. Additional foam, okay?
We got a lot of ground fire because there's a lot of oil on the ground. We set up monitors in that north corner and I pulled everybody out. Just like monitors.
What does Unical have? Unical has a pumper, don't they? They have 2, don't they? Command to control. Right? See if you can contact Unical, Union Oil, and have them send a foam pumper. Chevron has requested a foam pumper to this location.
One of the major problems the firefighters faced was in the area of communications. There were different radio frequencies and noise from the source of the fire.
When we first arrived on the scene, I was trying to communicate with the captain. The noise was so severe that we had to scream at one another to be able to communicate. And our engineer on the truck was unable to hear us unless he got back in the vehicle, closed the doors and the windows. It was the only way he was able to communicate.
While the firefighters are busy fighting the fire, cellular relay stations and the refinery switchboard are jammed with phone calls.
Okay, take him up to the administration building. Get him hooked up with our communications officer upstairs. Here's the situation. You gotta tell Gerard. Gerard is the commander up there, right? You gotta tell Gerard Richmond Fire is deluged with calls. Okay? We can get their public information officer up with our command center, and he can talk directly to the dispatch center in Richmond and calm down the people. Okay?
Officials want to talk directly with the incident commander to find out firsthand what's happening. A log jam of calls creates more communication headaches.
I think if you can set up an organization where those calls are filtered and part of your staff may be able to answer those questions, it would take an awful lot of pressure off the incident commander. In this particular case, we had a doctor from the Department of Health Services in the county wanting to get an update directly from the incident commander. Once we established the appropriate staffing at the command center, I was able to free myself up, turn over the command to one of my other battalion chiefs and talk directly for 10 or 15 minutes to the Department of Health Services doctor.
The clouds of smoke have also attracted the media. They're given a safe location to report the news and to notify the public no toxic chemicals or gases have been released, and anyone who has evacuated can return home.
We have a system here in the refinery in which all the media is focused into the administration building to a group of managers and personnel there who deal with all the media people. They provide media access to the site and are able to handle any of the questions that the media has regarding the incident. Part of the responsibility of that group is to escort the media to a safe location, allow them to video, allow them to do interviews, to get as much information as the news needs to accurately tell the story.
4 hours after the first alarm, the firefighters announced containment. For 6 days, they monitor a controlled burn, while operators assess the damage and check for more possible danger. The firefighters have learned a lot, including the importance of mutual aid, training, and the need for better radio access and communications and compatible firefighting equipment.
I think first of all you have to get the commitment from the company that they're willing to do it, and once you get that commitment and you have equipment available and trained people, then you set up an organization to where you have these member companies meet and sit down and get organized on what equipment's available. You have monthly drills on how long it takes to get that equipment to those locations. Also in these drills you find out if equipment is compatible, if the hoses fit, if the couplings fit, if you have the right type of foam. All those things are important in setting up an organization to find out that those work ahead of time through drills rather than wait until you have a real emergency.
I think in any situation where you use the incident command system, if you're going to learn something about it, you want to go back and re-examine everything you did there. And I would say that initially on the onset of the incident, we weren't able to fill some of the key positions here, which required myself and the battalion chief from the city of Richmond to fill a number of positions at the same time. I think if we had it to do over again, we tried to get a few more people involved a little bit earlier on in the command structure.
Our primary approach up to this point was 4 hose crews advancing on the fire. And I think that may be a situation that needs to be evaluated at the time. Don't put the people in there if you can do the job with master streams, large diameter hose and large nozzles.
And the importance of safety?
Oh, safety should be utmost. You got to protect the firefighters, proper gear, and the issue of not putting people in if you don't need to put people in close to the area. I think absolutely safety number one.
I'd like to tell everybody out there, all the first responders and firefighters out there, that take your time and put the stuff on in the beginning. Don't think that, you know, hey, I got a minute, I can put it on in a second, I can get this water going or I can do whatever, because this fire, the way I was looking at it, it was just pressurized fire. Everything's going fine, we're getting water on it, and we're going to get take care of it. And then the next thing I knew there was the explosion. And little did I know that the reactor had fell and causing the explosion. But that's what hit me, the blast from that. And without the turnouts, I could have been up in the hospital getting skin grafts like one of the operators did.
The estimated cost of fighting this fire, close to $500,000. The estimated loss to the refinery, in the millions of dollars. The fire itself has been traced to a leaking hydrogen line. But the cause of the fire is still under investigation. In Richmond, California, I'm Sam Chulan for this month's Industrial Strength.